the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission law passed by this House of Assembly. And we are entitled to powers of oversight or powers to investigate any commission or agency that we made law to have it set up. Section 128 of the Constitution has vested on this assembly the power to investigate or invite anybody to appear before this assembly. Honorable members, this motion is merely calling on this House to invoke powers vested by the Constitution, particularly in Section 128, to invite or to investigate any matter, particularly matters that are within our legislative oversight. We are all aware that the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission is clearly on the residual list of the 1999 Constitution as amended. And the Commission cannot continue to operate or spend taxpayers' money without approval. From our records, this assembly has not approved or even been approached to approve any amount of money for this commission from 1st January 2024 to date. But this commission has gone ahead on a spending spree, spending billions of taxpayers' money on their own. The governor has been releasing money to them without an appropriation, without approval. As it stands today, the Rivers House of Assembly does not know the amount of money that has been sent to this commission, or what they spent, or what they spend the money on. They are just freelancers. And as at the last time I checked the records, the chairman of this commission is a retired judge of the Rivers High Court. And we believe that he is supposed to know more about laws of Rivers State and the Constitution. Sadly enough, he's acting in a manner that calls for serious scrutiny. We must scrutinize what is going on in this commission. And while the House just sat on Monday to begin to deliberate on how to commence the amendment of the Rivers State Local Government Law and the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission Law, so that these two laws can be in tandem with the Electoral Act. We serve the resolution to the governor and to the commission chairman. It's published in national dailies. Everybody is aware. And the response this chairman can do is to summon a meeting today to commence the process, neglecting the position of this House that there is need for us to review our laws so that they can be in tandem with the Electoral Act, so that all that were problems that made the Supreme Court to nullify the election will not happen again. We think that this commission chairman and his commissioners and members are out to bring Rivers State to disrepute. We have turned out to be a laughingstock in the Committee of States, that elections will be conducted and nullified by the Supreme Court. The same thing they did before, they have started again. Honorable members, I want to thank the mover of this motion and members for their contributions, and to say that the prayers of this particular motion are germane, and there is need for us to go by the prayers, particularly the prayer that is calling on this House to invite the chairman of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission and his commissioners to appear before this August Assembly, so that they can explain to the House how they went about an election that was finally nullified by the Supreme Court, where they got funds, who approved funds for them to spend, and who has approved funds for them to spend again for the next election they are planning to conduct without this assembly, without asking for approval for funds. They need to come and explain to us, explain to Rivers people. Fair hearing is important, and we must give them that opportunity. And that is why that particular prayer is the key prayer, and I think we need to adopt that prayer, which is to invite them. The mover of the motion did not specify a date, or did you do so? But I think on Friday, 7th of March, 2 days from now, which is 48 hours from now, will be sufficient. So when the commission chairman and the commissioners are before us, they should be able to tell us what they are doing. They didn't appoint themselves there. They are not serving themselves. They are not bigger than the constitution and the laws of Rivers State. They must be subjected to our constitution and to our laws. And so they must appear before the Rivers people and explain what they are doing, what they have done with our funds, and what they are planning to do with our funds. And I think Friday must be the best date for now, so that we can ask the clerk of the House to immediately forward a letter of invitation to the chairman to come with all the commissioners and all relevant documents that will show us how they got funds for the last election that they threw away to the wind, and what really transpired last year about the 5th October 2024 local government elections that has now been nullified by the apex courts in the land. So those in favor of the prayers as moved by Honorable Enemy Alabo George and amended to include that they appear before this House on the 7th of March 2025 should indicate by raising their hands. Against 25. Against nil. Abstention nil. By this voting, honorable members, this House has therefore resolved that the clerk of the House should immediately forward a letter to the chairman of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission asking him to appear before this August Assembly on Friday, the 7th of March 2025 at 10 a.m. to answer questions pertaining to their conduct in office, to explain to this August Assembly how they have been spending funds belonging to these states without approval of this August Assembly, what they did with the funds given to them in the year 2024, which they spent in the ill-fated 5th October 2024 local government elections, and why they are still spending funds in the year 2025 without an appropriation law, and planning to conduct another election without approval, without any budget. So this is the position of the House. And when the chairman and these commissioners appear before us, we will know the next step to take. And by resolution of this House, the clerk will include in the letter that if the chairman and the commissioners fail to appear before this August Assembly, the House will be left with no other option but to invoke its powers vested in us in Section 129 of the 1999 Constitution to issue a warrant of arrest to compel them to appear before this August Assembly.
Speaker, my motion is to condemn the running of government of Rivers State by the governor with persons not screened and confirmed by the Rivers State House of Assembly. Mr. Speaker, you recall that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as altered, empowers the Rivers State House of Assembly to screen, confirm, and appoint into the Rivers State Executive Council. Mr. Speaker, there are many impostors who parade themselves today as members of Rivers State Executive Council who were not screened and confirmed by the Rivers State House of Assembly. Mr. Speaker, this infraction has made Rivers State a laughing stock in the Committee of War. Mr. Speaker,
The Committee of State.
in the Committee of State, yes. Mr. Speaker, the fact that the rule of law must be upheld in order to allow good governance in the state.
The leader of the House for bringing this motion forward. Let me also thank very eloquent, erudite members of the 10th Rivers State House Assembly for your continually stance as one of the most vibrant, dedicated and focused State House of Assembly in West Africa, because we're actually doing what we're supposed to do, ensuring that the laws of the land are obeyed. Distinguished colleagues, that said, it's important to begin my remarks by re-echoing provisions of Section 195, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Distinguished colleagues, this particular section says that there shall be an Attorney General for each state who shall be the chief law officer of the state and commissioner for justice of the government of that state. Distinguished colleagues, Section 192, subsection 2, has clearly stated that all nominees, Section 192, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, states that all nominees for appointment as commissioners into the Rivers State Executive Council shall be confirmed by the State House of Assembly, which is this assembly. Distinguished colleagues, the governor of this state, who is now the nationally acclaimed dictator of our time, going by the judgment of the Supreme Court and other pronouncements of other courts, is still harboring this impostor who is parading himself as the Attorney General of Rivers State. This individual is moving from one court to the other, claiming to be the chief law officer of Rivers State, whereas he is not. He is not known to law. He is misleading the public, misleading Rivers people. He is receiving funds and spending funds. He is issuing press statements deriding the State House of Assembly day by day as an impostor. The most dangerous aspect of our problem today is that when you don't have the chief law officer, as enshrined in Section 195 of our Constitution, when you don't have a legitimate Attorney General who should stand in for the state government, who should be in charge of legal matters, it portends great danger for our dear states. And this 10th Assembly must rise up to the occasion. We need to call on all the courts of our federation, the magistrate courts, the high courts of the states, federal high courts, the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court, to know that Rivers State does not have an Attorney General. Rivers State does not have an Attorney General. Those doing business in Rivers State, those dealing with this individual, Mr. Iboroma Dagogo, should know that they are doing so at their own risk. All those who the governor is still parading in the State Executive Council as commissioners who were never screened or confirmed by this assembly pursuant to section 192 subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution are not commissioners of Rivers State. They are mere impostors, and Rivers people and indeed Nigerians should beware of these individuals. They are defrauding the state. They are spending resources of the state in a criminal manner, and they are liable to criminal prosecution. This House must rise up to the occasion and defend Rivers people. The malfeasance in this government by this governor has gone to the point where we must not allow him to continue. We represent our people. We have their mandates. They have nowhere else to run to but to this assembly. And that is why we must insist that the right thing be done. On this note, distinguished colleagues, having collated your views, let me say that there is need to forward a letter in line with this motion to the governor, drawing his attention to these anomalies, to these infractions on our constitution, and asking the governor to do the needful, to do the right thing by stop parading these impostors, these individuals, whose names will be mentioned in our resolution and forwarded to the governor. As at the last count, there are 19 of them. There are 19 of them, these impostors, in the State Executive Council, including the fake Attorney General, Mr. Iboroma Dagogo. So we will ensure that this letter gets to the governor, and we hope that the governor, flowing from the judgment of the Supreme Court, will take a hint from this assembly and do the right thing and not listen to those who they are paying from other states, moving from one radio station, from one TV station, and talking to themselves. Certainly they are not talking to Rivers people, because Rivers people know where we are going. So this letter has to be sent to the governor immediately. And we will give the governor 48 hours to immediately forward a list of nominees for appointment into the Rivers State Executive Council as commissioners. All these 19 impostors are directed by this assembly to stop parading themselves. If they continue to do so, we will have no choice to invoke our powers as vested in us by the Constitution to order for their arrest, because they are criminals in the eyes of the law. Distinguished colleagues, I thank you for your contribution. I thank you for your contribution, and I believe that there is need to now put the question. Those in favor of the prayers of this motion as amended should indicate by raising their hands. Against? Abstention? Distinguished colleagues, those in favor, 25. Against? Nil. Abstention? Nil. Distinguished colleagues, by this voting, the House has resolved to forward the resolution of this House to the governor, informing the governor of what transpired in the 131st legislative day of the second section of this 10th Assembly, and informing the governor that his illegal appointments of persons to serve in various offices without first forwarding their names for screening and confirmation in line with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended and other extant laws is indeed an infraction on our constitution and must be stopped. We must also indicate in our resolution that the purported Attorney General that the governor is parading is an impostor, and that Rivers State does not have an Attorney General because the governor has not forwarded any name to us in that respect, and we have not screened anybody or confirmed anybody to occupy that position in line with Section 192, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, meaning that Rivers State does not have an Attorney General or a Chief Law Officer in compliance with Section 195 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. We also include in that resolution, which we are forwarding to the governor, that the governor needs to be reminded of another infraction of the Constitution in which he illegally swore in several other persons who are parading themselves as commissioners in the Rivers State Executive Council, which he swore in on Tuesday, the 21st day of May, 2024, namely Prince Charles Obeke, Collins Onuwo, Solomon Eke, Peter Mede, Eloka Tasia Emade, Basone Joshua Benibo, Tambari, Sidney Bara, and Ovi Orudeye Chinedum Chukuma, without screening and confirmation by this State House of Assembly in full compliance with Section 192, sub 2 and 6 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Others who he swore in on Tuesday, 13th of August 2024 are Elamo Arugu, Roland Obed White, Samuel Anya, Samuel Eiba, and Austin Emeka Nadoze, while Israel Mbuelu, Evans BP, Otamiri Ngubo, and Benibo Alabaraba were sworn in on Monday, 7th October 2024. Emmanuel Frank Fubara was sworn in on the 8th day of July 2024, amounting to a total of 19 persons parading themselves and misleading Rivers people that they are commissioners, receiving funds from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of Rivers State, spending taxpayers' money without approval. And all these are infractions against laws of Rivers State and the Constitution. In the letter we are forwarding to the governor, we're also including another infraction of the law in which the governor swore in Lawrence Oko-Jaja as chairman, Ernest Ibekwe Ekwe Mina Obanga, Iseleye Amakre, and Adokie Oyagre as members of the Rivers State Bureau on Public Procurement on Friday, 30th of August 2024, without screening and confirmation by the Rivers House of Assembly as stipulated in Section 4, subsection A of the Rivers State Public Procurement Law number 4 of 2008. Others are Gift Alex Hart, Grace Osaronu, and Selina Ammonia as members. Also to be included in this resolution to be forwarded to the governor is governor's action in swearing in Good Life Ben as chairman, Emmanuel Jaja, Betty Womit, Jerome Chimenem, Prince Ohochukwu, Philip Okparaji, and Christian Amadi as members of the Rivers State Local Government Service Commission without screening and confirmation, contrary to Section 44, subsection 3 of the Rivers State Local Government Law number 5 of 2018. Again, to be included in this resolution to be forwarded to the governor is another other infractions which indeed are appointments made by the governor into other commissions like the Assembly Service Commission and other commissions which are not in consonance with extant laws of Rivers State, with the Constitution, and are indeed a threat to our nascent democracy. Time may not permit us to read further names, and I believe that this letter has to go to the governor, and that we are going to ask the governor to forward list of nominees for screening and confirmation to fill all these vacancies, so that these persons, that is, if he's going to resubmit them, we don't know, cannot be in consonance with the Constitution and laws of Rivers State. We are going to tell the governor in this letter we are sending to him that he should act fast and do the needful and bring this list to us within 48 hours, so that we can do the needful and Rivers State can move forward. Distinguished colleagues, that is the resolution that the clerk is going to forward. We are going to forward to the governor. I'm going to sign the letter to be forwarded to the governor, while the clerk will sign the letter to be forwarded to the chairman of Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. Distinguished colleagues, before I conclude or call for adjournment, let me inform this August Assembly that the governor of Rivers State, in his usual dictatorial manner, has ordered all officers of the Rivers State government, particularly in the executive arm, not to receive any correspondence from the Rivers State House of Assembly. It's important I place this on record, that this action of the governor directing officers of the government of Rivers State not to receive correspondence from a legitimate Rivers House of Assembly is not only an affront to the Constitution and to this August Assembly, but an affront to our democracy generally. Members are aware that on Monday, with the leave of this House, we forwarded a letter to the governor. The governor directed that the letter should not be received. And even those who went there were turned back at the gate. And there is evidence to that because it is in writing. And this is not the first time the governor is doing this. But when the governor is done with his malfeasance, he walks up to the church and kneels down and asks them to pray for him. He will start quoting Philippians chapter 3 and other verses of the Bible. This is unbecoming of a governor who swore to abide by the Constitution. This malfeasance must stop. This is the Rivers State House of Assembly. We are not appointees of the governor, and the governor must obey the Constitution. What the governor is saying is that he's not going to write us and we should not write him. It's important that the world should know what the governor is doing, this dictator of our time, what he's doing. And I felt I should let Rivers people to know that this is the situation. There is still no guarantee that they will receive this one, but just to let members know that every letter we forward to the governor and agencies of Rivers State government, we publish them in national dailies. But since the governor has directed that all our letters should not be received and that he will not obey the judgment of the Supreme Court, he is merely giving broadcast, but behind he is refusing to obey any judgment delivered by either the Federal High Court, the Court of Appeal, or the Supreme Court. Honorable members, I felt I should draw your attention to the situation. Thank you very much.